Okay, let's talk about Meghan Markle because she's back in the news for all the wrong reasons. You would think that after all the drama surrounding her royal exit, the fallout from the podcast, and the Netflix gaffes, she would take a break, but no. Instead, Meghan decided that this was the ideal time to make a comeback with a video that no one asked her to do, and that no one wanted to see. And let me tell you, it exploded. Not in the way she was probably hoping that it would go viral, but rather because people were enjoying it. Here's what happened. Meghan Markle suddenly posted this video to Instagram, showing her dancing to some old-school rap and hip-hop music that was allegedly recorded 4 years ago when she was pregnant. There is no background or caption, just her moving. You could almost feel how badly she wanted this to go viral in a positive way. Perhaps she thought it would make her seem more relatable, edgy, spontaneous, or whatever image she's trying to regain these days, but all it did was make people cringe. Let's face it, if anyone else had posted something similar, it might have received a few pitying likes and vanished into thin air. But this is Meghan Markle, and every move she makes is scrutinized, especially now that she's been positioning herself in the media. TikTok, Reddit, you name it, and nobody seems to notice how awesome she is. Instead, they act more like, what the hell is going on? Indeed, the meme quickly gained popularity, but the social media backlash was only the beginning. This small post caused Netflix a lot of trouble behind the scenes because, as you may recall, Meghan still has that deal with them. The Love Meghan documentary series is meant to portray her as a thoughtful voice on parenthood identity and personal development. So when she unexpectedly posted a video of herself dancing to hip-hop while pregnant, Netflix executives were like, "Hold up, what are we doing here?" When Netflix execs like Greg Peters, who had previously been ready to give Meghan some leeway to be creative, saw this message, they weren't laughing. Rather, they were furious. As careless, it wasn't just off-brand. It was a liability because whether she wants to acknowledge it or not, Meghan represents Netflix. When she posts anything online, she's not just doing it as Meghan. Rather, she's doing it as a public figure under contract with a major platform. So anything she shares reflects back on them. As a result, they called an emergency meeting, and by the end of the day, Meghan was being told categorically to remove the video. No elaboration, no gentle prodding, just a direct order to remove the post. However, this is where things really took a turn. She flatly refused, telling them that she wasn't deleting it, claiming that it was her way of expressing herself and that she was using it to retaliate against critics who've been making fun of her for years. She essentially claimed that this video was her attempt to reclaim the story or something similar. Now, it's one thing to make a dubious post, but to go further and refuse to work with the studio you have a contract with is a whole other level. And according to sources, Netflix took that seriously. They said, "This is your last strike." If she made any more mistakes like this, they would not only not renew her contract, but they would also begin to pull back on her current projects. And guess what? That's exactly what began when they shut down her plans to promote Love Meghan on social media. Interview clips, Instagram Q&As are operational, immediately canceled. No promotions, no posts, nothing. Netflix isn't just taking a step back. They're essentially acting as though the show doesn't exist until it premieres, which is crazy considering how much they hyped her up a year ago. In addition, rumors have it that she has been barred from the editing room. It seems that Meghan wanted to be heavily involved in the post-production of her show and wanted to shape the message, as she put it, but now she's completely barred from that process. Netflix is cleaning house quietly in an effort to salvage what they can without creating a bigger PR mess, and Meghan is reportedly furious. She has been in yelling arguments with executives, particularly Greg Peters, in an attempt to defend the video and fight for her creative rights. But the damage is done, and even some of the executives who initially supported her are beginning to distance themselves. The support system she believes she had there is disappearing, and all because of one video that, in her mind, was empowering, defiant, or whatever spin she's trying to put on it. To everyone else, fans, critics, and especially the studio paying the bill, it was just a tone-deaf, poorly timed move from someone who is desperately trying to stay in the spotlight. Let's just say the Meghan Markle PR machine is currently running on fumes, and unless she plays her next move very carefully, this could be the point at which everything starts to fall apart. Being drawn into Meghan's ongoing conflict was the last thing they wanted, especially because they were already under internal pressure to defend the agreement in the first place, because her contract wasn't cheap, and executives had spent months promoting her as a mature, reflective person. Meghan Markle was beginning a new chapter, but all of that carefully constructed narrative was destroyed the moment she released that video. According to some insiders, things were becoming tense behind closed doors, and other board members, especially those who had previously backed bringing Meghan on, began to express doubts. One senior executive reportedly stated bluntly, "She's turning into more of a liability than an asset." Suddenly, people were reevaluating the entire partnership, not just the show, but everything associated with her name. Ted Sarandos, who had been largely neutral about the drama up until this point, was drawn into the mix. That sentiment began to reverberate through the hallways at Netflix HQ. The studio was in damage control mode, and no amount of star power or previous goodwill was going to override that, at least not this time. In response, Netflix tightened the leash, not formally, of course, with no press release or big announcement, but internally the shift was evident as emails stopped meetings, and Meghan reportedly pushed him directly for support in an attempt to salvage what influence she still had. It wasn't just Netflix that began to distance itself from the industry. Industry people were watching in real time, and word quickly spread in Hollywood. One talent agency even issued an internal note, warning against partnerships that might carry residual baggage from ongoing corporate fallout. Any discussion about future collaborations with Meghan or Harry hit pause, and the promotional team was told to downplay Meghan's involvement in upcoming campaigns. Translation: Meghan Markle is radioactive, so don't touch her right now. Meanwhile, Meghan wasn't sitting quietly. She took the criticism personally and was apparently venting about her treatment behind closed doors. She sees herself as a woman expressing joy and freedom, and her friends say she honestly thinks this video was harmless and that the outrage is just another example of people trying to silence her voice. However, when you're associated with a large corporation and your public image is part of a business deal, every move you make has consequences. It's not just about personal expression anymore. Meghan may feel like she's being authentic, but Netflix is trying to protect his bottom line. And at this point, the two are completely different planets. Even some of her fans are beginning to wonder what she's doing, and comment sections on forums and fan pages have taken a turn. This wasn't the smartest move, is what the typical defenders are now saying. And I love Meghan, but that video was not it. To make things worse, the devoted online community she could often rely on is rapidly dwindling as more people realize that she isn't always the victim in these circumstances. After being clipped, slowed down, auto-tuned, and transformed into mean content, the video is now circulating in edited, remixed forms that deprive it of any potential dignity. Each time it is reposted, it garners more attention, which is not what Meghan wants. She attempted to control the narrative, but she is no longer even in charge of her own content. And while all of this is going on, love. The production team working on the series has also been under pressure, with some staff members reportedly feeling frustrated that they spent months developing a show that was supposed to present Meghan in a thoughtful, inspirational light, only for a 30-second Instagram post to derail the entire message. Meghan's release date is still approaching, but nobody at Netflix seems eager to promote it anymore. There are rumors that it might be quietly dumped on the platform without much fanfare, almost like they want to release it under the radar. "We should have just made a dance video and saved everyone the trouble," one editor even said. As of right now, Meghan is still refusing to take down the original post. She has stated that she will not be intimidated or silenced, regardless of what Netflix says. But every day her power is eroding, the deals she has, her influence, and the platform. The industry is closely monitoring her to see how far she will go before she either changes her mind or vanishes entirely from the public eye. By the time the story made it to the wider media circuit, the fallout had spread beyond Hollywood. Almost every talk show, gossip website, and popular social pundit had analyzed Meghan's video. The dominant narrative was that Meghan Markle had once again strayed from the script, despite some attempts to paint it as odd or misinterpreted. This time, it might cost her everything. The video itself had evolved from a moment of dubious judgment to a symbol of a larger conflict between corporate control and celebrity freedom. Although Meghan was still bound by her Netflix contract, in reality, she was now a rogue brand driven by instinct, emotion, and a never-ending need for attention. Studios dislike consistency and predictability, and Meghan was not providing them with either. According to reports, legal discussions between her team and Netflix started to surface. There were no formal lawsuits, but there were unmistakable rumors of violations of agreed-upon promotional protocols and image guidelines, which is legalese for us trying to sever ties without. The big irony is that if Megan Dugan had simply deleted the video when asked, it probably wouldn't have received this much attention. However, her refusal to back down turned a minor PR setback into a full-on brand implosion. At one point, even comedians began parodying it in their sketches. This sparked a public war in Meghan's camp as they tried to figure out how to turn this into a victory, possibly even pivoting to a platform where she could be unfiltered, whatever that was supposed to mean. Whatever the TikTok, the video became a common joke. In the midst of this controversy, her personal circle began to speak about that strange dancing video rather than Meghan Markle as an activist or producer. Some of her regular celebrity supporters shrank as well. They became radio silence publicists and kept their distance because nobody wanted to be caught in the explosion radius. A few of them discreetly gave advice, laid low, took a break, and replanned. Meghan didn't seem interested. She felt misunderstood and cornered, so she began talking more in private about being authentic and owning her voice. There were even rumors that she was going to launch her own media company, something bold, independent, and free from corporate influence. But no one understood what that actually meant. And more significantly, no one was willing to invest in it because investors prefer stability to instability. Meghan wasn't at all structured for Netflix at the time. In the midst of the chaos, it became evident that Meghan had lost favor not only with Netflix, but also with those who once viewed her as a breath of fresh air in a field full of scripted personalities. The cleanup operation proceeded in silence, with marketing materials being scrubbed and press previews being postponed internally. A few employees reportedly referred to the entire situation as the Meghan mess, a term that went viral on Slack channels like wildfire. Executives were focused on minimizing exposure to ensure that no one could accuse them of endorsing the video or her behavior. What had begun as a hopeful new chapter was now coming to an unpleasant halt, with no obvious way ahead and no significant supporters. Sound. As always, the internet moved on after the pressure subsided, with other stories dominating the headlines. But the harm had already been done. Meghan's reputation in the entertainment industry had changed. She was now the cautionary story rather than the media darling and breakout queen. A reminder that being famous doesn't mean you have control over the story. Meghan's show, Love with Love, was released in a low-key with no press tour or premiere party. Meghan attempted to keep viewers interested when Netflix dropped it like a stone in a pond, hoping the ripples wouldn't spread too far. Viewership statistics were low at best, and reviews ranged from lukewarm to indifferent, with critics calling it aimless, performative, and out of touch. Maintain the momentum. Because fame isn't just about being seen, it's about being taken seriously. In the end, Meghan Markle got the attention she wanted, but it wasn't the kind that creates empires or inspires movements. Rather, it was the fleeting kind that trends for a day or two before fading into internet history. She posted ambiguous quotes about growth, strength, and being your true self on her social media pages, but the engagement wasn't what it used to be, because people had already formed their opinions and weren't changing this time.